What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I'm going to be talking about the SPY, the NASDAQ, the QQQs, and the futures, break down what the charts are telling us and what you should be watching for tomorrow, and give you guys my price predictions for the market and why I believe the odds do favor a bit of a bounce to come. Now, I know that may sound like crazy to a lot of people, but once you see the data, it will make a lot of sense. But before I break anything down about this, I have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks, and any could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 11 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. When it comes to the markets, guys, we did actually see a bit of a pullback on Friday, but the real question is, could the market get a bounce until then? And in my opinion, the odds are actually favoring that. I'm going to break down exactly why that is. To start us off, SPY does have a relatively high put to call ratio at 2.08 for Monday and 2.04 for Tuesday. It's also going to show us a very high max pain at 394, with the majority of individuals holding puts for Monday and Tuesday. Now, when this tends to happen, the market makers are incentivized to try to push up the markets once again, and we could see the market try to bounce as we approach the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. Now, please remember, FOMC could be a make or break for where the market is. If the Fed pauses, the market could continue to rally. If the Fed ends up giving us another rate hike and they maintain their hawkish stance, the market is going to tank. So please be ready for what that brings on Wednesday. It's going to happen a little bit later on Wednesday, but I also want to note that we have a really high amount of put volume compared to call volume for Monday and also for Tuesday, right? It's actually very, very different. We have a 1.41 put to call volume ratio, so it's actually kind of different. And we have a lot more open interest, once again, on the put side, which tells me, once again, the majority of individuals are holding puts before FOMC, betting the market's going to come down. And the odds are, for that reason, favoring that the market might actually hold up. Now, what else is worth noting is the fact that when it comes to the market, we have to watch some very important levels. So if you're bearish for the market, if you think the market's going to tank, SPY needs to break below this 388.56 level. If we break below that, so I'm going to be watching 387.69. Break below that, then we have 385, followed by 383. If we're bullish, we're going to see the market break above 390, retest 393, followed by a potential gap fill all the way up to 395 to 396. What do I think is going to happen, though? I think what's going to happen tomorrow, based off what I just showed you, is the market might gap down tomorrow. Maybe something happens. We see SPY around like 388 to open, but we might get a really nice bounce again, and the bulls might try to take advantage of this, and the market might actually try to bounce. We might see the market actually try to push up and actually get all the way up to at least gap resistance and get very close to max pain for either Monday or Tuesday. I think the market's going to try to rebound a little bit as we approach FOMC, but then after FOMC, it's going to depend on the Fed, and everything could change from there. I want to note to everyone that the RSI was at 49 and then it was also at about 49. So we don't actually have a bullish or bearish divergence, anything like that, but that does not mean that the market can't bounce. For Tesla, we have a lot of interesting things playing out. There could be a head and shoulders developing on Tesla right here, which means Tesla could try to rebalance about 183.5. It's very possible that that ends up happening. That's why I'm going to watch 183.5 if Tesla does get a bounce. If it rejects off there, we could see a big drop to fill this gap. But if it breaks that, it could keep going. If you're bearish on Tesla, however, and this doesn't even play out and it just starts tanking, make sure you watch 180. If that fails, then there's this 177 zone. If that fails, then we have this gap down here around this 174 zone, followed by, once again, a retest of 168 later on. In my opinion, Tesla's most likely going to try to rebound and retest 183.5, and we'll just have to see where it goes from there, but I do believe it's going to try to bounce initially. AMC has been basing around $4, so I believe that the odds favor AMC trying to bounce very, very soon at the same time. I think AMC might try to get to the mid fours, so I'm going to be watching that very carefully too. Nvidia is up 0.72%. In my opinion, the odds are favoring this actually pulling back a little bit to fill this gap. So it might drop just a couple of dollars, but it might bounce afterwards and try to get back to about 260. So once again, this gap down here around this very mid 250 zone might come down a little bit, then try to bounce a little bit later. For NEO, I'm seeing the same thing. NEO might once again try to push up because it is forming a base around this $8 zone. We might see NEO try to get to the mid $8 range. We're seeing a lot of banks like JP Morgan continuing to take hits. So we have to be very careful with this whole banking situation. For Apple, let's see Apple. Apple, in my opinion, is starting to show some weaknesses, getting very tight. But as long as this thing could actually try to hold 155, the odds favor Apple trying to push up and retest 157.5. Do I think that's going to happen? I think it's a little bit more likely Apple's going to hold up instead of tanking from here. Once again, be prepared for anything just in case. For Meta, this thing is down almost 5%. I believe this thing is actually at a very important fib level. It actually closed very, very close to this 195 zone. If this thing could actually, get a balance, we could be forming a nice head and shoulders right here. So right here, like bounces, then it comes down, maybe going to FOMC. Or it might just try to balance and try to hold retest like 200 very, very soon. So I do believe the odds are favoring that. The triple Q, in my opinion, it's only down 0.4%. Not even that bad. It's actually showing lots of relative strength, in my opinion. I believe it might try to come down just a bit, maybe gap down to like 303, then get a really nice bounce, and eventually do a retest of 309, maybe even breaking that. So in my opinion, the triple Q is still showing strength. There's no confirmation of it downtrending from here. The dollar has been dropping a bit. That tells me that as the dollar drops, this does increase the odds of the market trying to bounce. And also the VIX is up over 11%, at least as of Friday. When the VIX is up this much, over 10%, we tend to get an opposite reaction the next day, which means that the odds are favoring a bounce for Monday. Finally, Microsoft, it did break my target above like 275. I believe Microsoft might try to pull back a little bit. It is kind of it's kind of overbought right now. It's going to pull back to about this like 276 area. Then it might try to get a really nice bounce after it fills that gap, and it might try to push up all the way back to this 280 to 283 zone. What else is there? Amazon. I'm about to end this, by the way. Amazon is up. Let's see. It's at 98.95. If anything, Amazon, in my opinion, looks like it's trying to bounce. We might get a retest of 100 very, very soon, maybe even a break above it. It is still very possible. Finally, the 10-year Treasury yield is once again dropping, which is once again, this tends to be bullish for the stock market. It is trying to base around this 33 area, but we're actually almost $1 above that. So it might come down to retest 33.09, which would once again be bullish for the stock market. So with that said, I want to thank each and every one of you so much for listening. I just tried to go over as much of these as I can in just as little time as possible. And I would just want the best for everyone. So be prepared for anything, just in case something bad happens with the banks. But at the same time, based off the technicals, the data, the option chain, and many different factors, the odds are favoring the market trying to bounce going into tomorrow and maybe getting a somewhat green close. Thank you all so much for listening. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. The market to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.